once again. Welcome to today's video, whereby we are going to do a step-by-step guide on using Excel for data analysis and visualization. Remember, the last two videos discussed, or rather showed how to import data and clean the data. So I thought it wise now to have a video that combines the two, going further into data analysis and visualization. Ideally, today we are diving into Q1 2024 sales data, exploring various ways to analyze sales performances. We'll leverage Excel's powerful tools to visualize data, generate insights, and identify trends. All essential data-driven decision-making in any business environment. So by the end of it all, we'll have hands-on knowledge of how to tackle essential business questions, create meaningful visualizations, and conduct statistical analysis directly in Excel. Now, what do you expect at the end of it all? Expect to identify top performing products, channels, customer trends, to understand what drives revenue. Also expect to investigate how discount levels impact revenue and how sales are distributed between regions, and track monthly sales variations. I also expect you to learn how to apply Excel features for data visualization and analysis, including pivotal tables, charts, and formulas for statistical analysis. That is, you're going to gain practical skills in Excel. So, you are going to gain practical, actionable skills in Excel for visualizing and analyzing business data. You'll see how real-life applications of these skills can be adapted for various types of data and industries. Well, we are going to use the following questions to practice on how to use Excel for statistical analysis and visualization. Well, let's get started. So to start us off, let us get the data. So I'm going to exit my PowerPoint. I'll open a new Excel sheet. So importing the data, I'll go to the data tab. I'll go to the new query. I want to import my file, the Q1 file, which is a workbook. Where did I save it? It's in documents. So let me do a quick search so that I can easily get the data. Then I click on open. So now I have my data in my Power Excel query. So now that my data has been imported, I can use the features in the Excel Power Query to clean my data, or rather I can decide to load my data into the Excel sheet, then proceed with the cleaning. As you can see, the Power Query has some features that can enable you to do the cleaning. You can decide to remove columns. You can decide to choose columns and edit them. You can decide to keep rows, remove duplicates, remove errors, sort your values in ascending order or descending order. You can split columns. You can do a lot of things using the Power Query. So this is something that again we are going to discuss later, focusing majorly on the Power Query features. So for now, I intend to clean my data and analyze them, and analyze the data in my Excel worksheet. So I will load the data. So I'll choose close and load to. Where do I want to load it? I want to load it in my new worksheet. So let me load the data. Now I have the data. With this data, we can now go ahead to visualize the data, inspect it, see if we have inconsistencies, see if we have any errors, fix anything that needs to be fixed, then go ahead and analyze the data. So in my case, the first thing I'd like to do is to make this data visually appealing. So let me remove this filter first of all, have it like that, then select the data, can do Control A, have cells center aligned, or have the data center aligned, probably change the font. I prefer New Times Roman. Then the size, let me make it to 12. Then I'll expand my columns to make the data visually appealing. Now we can go ahead and identify if our data is bad or good. So if it's bad, we do some cleaning. If it's not, well and good, we are lucky. So in visualizing the data, you can already see that we have some blanks, we have some exclamation marks, probably we don't need them. We have errors in spelling, like US instead of USA. We have inconsistencies in formatting, the discount column, some data has percentage, some don't. We have inconsistencies in the decimal. So what else? You can see inconsistencies in the case, like Canada is in lowercase, USA is in uppercase, so it's something again you might need to correct. I can see some blanks in the quantity column. So see, these are some of the things that we may want to check, clean the data, and ensure that we are working with a clean data or a good data for accuracy in analysis. Now let us start with the blanks. The easiest way and the most recommended way of dealing with the blanks is asking the source. So if the blanks were accidentally entered, they can provide you the data and you fill the data. If not, you can decide to fill the blanks with the most appropriate data. So in this case, the date, you can decide to leave the date. With the quantity, you can decide to fill the quantity with 0 or the mean or the median and the mode, depending on the needs of your business problem. Now let us fix this data. So assuming we don't have the date and all the blanks that we have, we don't have the data and are not provided. So the best thing that I'll do with these blanks is filling them with 0. I'll fill them with 0. So I will go to find and replace. I go to find, so find, then in my dialog box I go to replace. So where there is a blank, I will fill with 0 to mean we don't have data, or the quantities, the dates are not provided though. It will mean that in my case for quantity, it will mean that the quantity was 0, for the date it will mean not provided. So I replace all. So you can see we made 8 replacement. We've made the 8 replacement. So again, you can visualize the data and see if the zeros make sense. So for the quantities, the 0 might make sense because it means that the sales and the quantities are 0. But for the date, it won't make sense because we are dealing with a 1900. 100. So it will be wise to fix the date to make it for the year 2024, because we are dealing with the data in the first quarter. So I'll copy this one. I'll go to find and select. So find, the dialog box again appears. So I want to find this date and fix it with the first quarter. I can decide to pick it's January, then it's 2024. So replace, so we've replaced 2 because we had zeros in those 2 rows. So for the date column, it is sorted. You can check if the formatting is okay. You can decide to change the format. You go to general, then you can have it to have all of them as short date, or you can have them as long date, but I prefer to use short date. So as far as the column date is concerned, I can say that now the date column is good. Let us move to this next section, which is the product that has some exclamation marks, probably, which we don't need because probably that means shouting. So I intend to remove the exclamation marks. So again, I'll select the column. I go to find. I find them. That dialog box appears. So I want to have where is it? So I want to find this exclamation mark and replace it with a blank, so that now all the products won't have the exclamation mark. So I'll click on replace. You can see I've already made 44 replacements. So I have made 44 replacements, and now our data in the product section looks clean. We don't have any unnecessary characters. Now for the column ID, I don't think we have a problem with the customer ID. Sorry, the customer ID looks fine. It looks fine, although we have a figure here 63, 61, which is not consistent with the others. So this again is something that I might want to confirm with my source of the data. I'll probably counter check with the description of the column ID, but in this case I will assume that that customer was identified with numbers only. Now let us go to the sales channel. So with the sales channel, you can see that we have some inconsistency with the case. Some channels have started with, some channels are capitalized, while others start with a small letter. So this is something I want to fix in the sales channel. So now let us fix this column with the sales channel, and to serve as a reminder, it is appropriate that you have a copy of your data, so that in case something happens with the data, you at least have a backup. So this is the first thing that you're supposed to do whenever you have any data. So let me copy this my data. I'll go to sheet, I'll click on it, then we have a prompt. I'll select move or copy. So I want to copy it to a new sheet, sheet 2, and then I confirm on create copy. So there's my copy. So I have 2 data. I have this one and I have this other one. So you can see I have sheet 2 and I have sheet 2. So I've already made a copy of my data. So well, to fix the problem with the cases of sales channel, I'll click on any cell in the country. Then I want to insert a new column to the left. Then in this column, this is where I will enter my function for proper. I click on it. Then I want to capitalize on the entry in the sales channel. So I'll pick the first cell, which is pickup. Then I'll click OK. Then I have my all my sales channel capitalized. Now in this case, I'll not have to again have another column with the sales channel, because it won't make sense having these two columns. So I'll decide to copy all this data into a new column and then delete this one. So how do you go about it? You'll click on a cell, insert a new row, a new column to the left, then select the items in this column, click copy, then copy them as values. Remember, you have to copy them as values. So what's happening here? Let me see. Copy and paste them as values. Suppression for one of the following reasons. Okay, so let me check on this, just a minute. So well, that prompt tells me that there's something wrong with the formatting of my entry. So I will click on the column. I will go to format cells. There I have my format cells. So my cells are formatted generally, and because they are text, I'll want to fix them and make them in text format. So I'll click OK. Now let me try to copy and paste them. What is this? Let me select it. Just a minute. Format cells, texts, format cells, then I select text, then OK. So well, now I have my values. It has worked. I can go ahead and delete this column since I don't need it. I can also delete this one since I don't need it. And now I'll rename my column. Let me delete this one again, sorry. So now I'll rename my column as sales channel. So it was sales channel. Now I have it. So let us go ahead and check if everything is okay in the sales channel. So everything looks fine. Everything looks fine. So with that, we can go ahead and check now the column country. So the column country, as you can see, it has some inconsistencies in the entry and again in case entry. So in this case, I like to change US to USA. So I'll click on a cell, any cell in the country column, go to find. So I do find. Here comes the dialog box. I go to replace, I enter. So where I have US, should be in caps, so I have US, I'll replace it with US, USA. So find and replace all. It has added it, but again it has added additional S, so I'll insert A, then delete it to replace with the blanks. So replace all. Seems that it has overwritten the data, so I'll undo my data, and then go again into, click on a cell, find and replace. So where I have USA, I want to replace with USA. So replace. Now we are good to go. I can close it. So the next thing we want is to make sure everything is capitalized. Making sure everything is capitalized, and since we have only 2 entries in Canada that are not been capitalized, I'll use the find and replace instead of the upper function, because the data is only 2 entries need to be capitalized. So I'll do again find, and replace, then replace with Canada. Replace. 2 replacements have been done. Good. So remember again, there's another option. If you want to capitalize Canada and make everything uppercase, you can enter you can click on a new cell, then you can do equal, then select upper. So which columns do you want to change? Probably this one, and then click enter. So you can see it has been capitalized. So if you autofill or flash fill, it's going to replace this data. It's outside the column. It's okay. Let me do undo. You can drag all the way to the last column, and you see everything has been replaced, and Canada now is also capitalized. So that is again another way you can do it, but since I only had 2 entries, I use the find and replace method. So let me delete this column. Again, I don't need it. So we proceed with the quantity section. So in this section, everything looks good because what we had as blanks initially, we filled with 0. So everything looks good. What basically we can do is to change the format and to make them to be in numbers. So that's it. I've made my quantity section to be in format numbers. Now let's again look at the sales. So again in the section the sales, to me everything looks fine. Let me center align this data. Okay, so in the cell section everything looks good, and apart from the decimal, so I can decide to make them uniform and make them into 2 decimal places. So there is it, everything is in 2 decimal places and we don't have any blanks, so we are good to go. Now let us format the last section, which is the discount. Now in the discount, some values have percentages, some don't have percentage. So we can turn all the data here to be in percentage, but after confirming that do the number represent numbers as the year, or rather whoever entered the data only needs to enter the percentage sign. So it's good to confirm before you manipulate your data. So assuming that what was basically neglected was this percentage sign, I'll want to add the percentage in each and every data and make them to 2 decimal places. So I'll click on the discount, go to general, then choose the option percentage. So the data is in decimal, but again there's some inconsistency, so I'll choose a different approach to add the percentages. So let's proceed. So using this approach, I will use an if statement. So remember, an if statement is a conditional statement. It returns a value if the value is true, otherwise it's going to give a false. So in this case, I want to have an if statement that will check all these numbers in the discount column and trace if a number has a percentage sign or lacks a percentage sign. If it lacks a percentage sign, I'm going to add the percentage sign. Otherwise, if it has, it will neglect and return the value as it is. So I'll click on a cell, a new cell, enter equal, then insert my function. So my function will be if into bracket, we are dealing with numbers, so if the number, so if it's a number, find if the number has a percentage sign. So find if the number has a percentage sign, but in which cell? In that cell H2 should be, let me put it as H2. Then in the same cell, which is now my H2, my reference cell, if that cell doesn't have a percentage sign, add the percentage sign. Otherwise, return the number as it is. So as you can see, once I press enter, all my numbers are now in percentages. My numbers are in percentages. But remember, I altered my numbers over here, so I like to change this one to the original format. So because I altered the numbers and this might present biases and inaccuracies, I'll just copy just copy my formula, then undo everything to the original status or original formats of my numbers. If I've confused you, sorry, but just to take you back, this was the original status of my discount column. It lacked percentages and some values had percentages. So what we did, or what we just discussed, is I'll have a new cell, enter the if condition. You can see the if condition, then press enter. It's going to add all the percentages to the number. So again, you have to be careful with the approach that you're using when you're cleaning your data. So now that I have this column, I don't think I need this one, so I'll delete it. But before deleting, I'll have to copy and paste these values in a new cell. So copying them as values, then still loading. Then I can now delete my my column discount because I don't need it. So the reason why I had to copy was to avoid this one, because if I could have deleted without copying, then the reference cells would have missed and wouldn't have any values. Now I can also comfortably delete this column. So now that I have my column, I can rename it as discount. And my data is clean. My data is now clean. So I have a problem over here. So let me fix this one. I think I mistakenly added this cell in my formula, which shouldn't be the case. So let me fix it quickly. So again, let's confirm that our data is clean. Let us confirm that everything in our data is as expected. So a quick confirmation tells me that we have a 20, which is categorical. It should be entered as a percentage. So what I'll do, I'll copy this cell, find and replace, find, then so find this 20, find this 20, replace with a numerical 20%. It's checking, one replacement has been made. We are good to go. Shouldn't be the case, so let me edit this one. Should it be 0.2, but rather should be 20%. So again, let me fix it. So what I'll do, I'll click on that cell. I go to format that cell. Where is the format? Format the cell. So you can see these are my options. I want percentage, but the decimal point to be 0 decimal point, so that for uniformity purposes. Well, now I have my number as desired. So again, let us take a quick overview of the data. If everything is okay, everything looks fine. Now again, you may want to check if you have duplicates, and if you have any duplicates, you delete them. So I will click on one of the cells, either, then I go to my data, and at the data section I go to remove duplicates, then check my data as headers, because the headers are date, product, blah blah blah. Then I want to select the columns to remove duplicates. So remember, duplicate is any entry with everything looking the same. So I'll check on all columns, then click OK, then wait for Excel to execute the remove duplication function. So as you can see, I had like 104 those I had this number of duplicates, and then they have been removed. So again, my data is now clean with 1 or 2 entries as expected. Now there's something that I've noticed, that this column ID has some inconsistency. So I will change it, quickly change it to customer ID, and now my data is clean and ready for analysis. Well, let's dive into the analysis using the questions that we identified when we were starting this video. So to start us off, we'll start with the question number 1. We want to analyze which products had the highest and the lowest sales in this quarter. So this basically means we are trying to find the maximum and the minimum sales in regards to the products in this quarter. So the best approach to find the product with the highest and lowest sales will be to use a pivot table. Well, the pivot table will summarize the total sales by product, and then you can visually inspect which product has the highest and lowest sales. So in this case, because we are comparing categories, we can use a bar chart or even a column chart. Well, let's do it practically. So click anywhere inside the cell, go to data, not the data, but go to the insert tab. You can see recommended pivot tables. So just click on pivot table, click on pivot table, then it's going to display you the range of cells. Where do you want to work in? I want to work in a new worksheet. I'll click OK. Then once I have my pivot table selected, I can go ahead to choose on the categories that I want to pivot. So remember, our interest is product and their sales. We want to compare product by sales. So in my rows, I will select the product. I'll pick and drag the product in my rows. Then I'll select the sales amount because I'm interested in comparing the sales, and have them in as a value section, so that I'll be comparing product by their sales amount. So once I have selected my categories, they are going to be displayed in my pivotal table. So you can now visualize in the table that the laptops and the phones served the highest count of sales. You can also see that the laptop had the least count of sale. However, you can easily display this in a chart, so that it is readable and easily interpretable. Also, you can decide to sort these values in ascending or descending order, that is, from the highest sales to the lowest sales, or from the lowest sales to the highest sales. So let us arrange this data in ascending order. So click on any cells in click on any cell in the count of sale column, go to home, click on the sort and filter, then sort from largest to smallest. Now you can see now that we have the cells arrange from the highest to the lowest, and you can easily now compare the products. Again, you may want to present this visually by clicking on any cell, go to Insert tab, click on Recommended Charts, then you can use a column chart or a bar chart. So in this case, let me use a column chart. Then you click OK, and there you have your visualization comparing the total sum of or the sales account of each product. And you can see products with the highest sales are the phone and the laptop. So notice that you can format this chart depending on your needs and preferences. So I'm tempted not to delve in formatting the chart, but this is something that you can do. You can change the style, you can edit the title. So in this case, I can have it as sales by product graph. I can add the axis title, so that here I can edit them as product, and here I can have them as sales amount or sales. Yeah, sales. There's a lot that you can do. You can decide to remove these the fields button, so that you are left with a more clear graph. You can decide to remove the legend, or have the legend as the totals. You can decide to have a trend line, so that you can see the trend is the sales is decreasing from the highest to the lowest, or you can delete it. You can decide to have a data table, but it's not necessary since you have it. You can decide to change the color of the charts. So I can go to the charts, then I can do a fill, then decide on which color I want. So I can decide them to have them as light green or blue or black. So depending on which color you want, or you prefer your graph to have. Well, there's much you can do with visualization, which again is another skill altogether that I wouldn't want to dwell in right now. So in comparison, you can see this is not let me change these colors. Let me change these colors, and sorry, let me change this. Just a minute, let me change the colors. So you can easily see that the product with the highest sale is a phone, followed by a laptop, and the list is a laptop with a hyphen. So this again is something that we may want to work with, because a laptop is a laptop. So I should go back in my data and remove the laptop with a hyphen. Let me do that quickly. So So this is something you may want to look at, confirm if you have a different like a laptop from this one. But again, if that's not the case, you may want to go back to the data and clean this category laptop with two hyphens. In my case, I'll leave it at that because I confirmed that this one is a different version of a laptop newly introduced in the market, different from this one, so I'll leave it at that. Well, let us proceed to our second question. So in our second question, we are supposed to analyze the channels which perform the best and the worst in comparison to the revenue they generated. So again, let's go back to the data and we will use the same approach we used before. So click on a cell, any cell, go to insert, click on pivot table, the range is displayed, click OK. Then which fields do you want? In this case we want the sales channel, so I'll drop my sales channel in the rows and my values will be the sales amount because those are the amounts that reflect the revenue generated. So I'll have them in my revenue. Now we want to confirm the channel which performed the best and which one performed the worst. So which one generated the highest sales, which one generated the least amount of sales. So you can easily see we have a 33 and a 1, but I can sort this value by clicking on a cell, go to home tab, then go to sort and filter. I'll sort again from the largest to the smallest. So pickup generated the highest sales, so it performed the best compared to in-store. So again, I've noticed something that we were supposed to clean the in-store and remove the hyphen. So let me do that quickly. So well, this is the pivotal table of the sales channel against the count of sale. Now as you can see, we have in-store and you have in-store in a hyphen. So this is something you may want to clean. So I've already contacted the source of the data and the worksheet is protected. So until then, we are going to work with the in-store as the ER because I tried to clean it, but the worksheet is protected. I'll have to wait for the password, but before then, let us proceed. The most important thing is grasping the concept. So once I have my data, I can click on the cell, right click, then I can decide to sort the values from the largest to the smallest. So you can see the pickup leads with the highest number of cells. So I can decide to represent this. You can represent this in a chart. So I can click on home, or rather insert recommended chart. This time let me use a bar chart. So that is my bar chart. You can see the pickup leads with sales compared to the other channels. Well, again, you can format your bar as we did before. I'm not going to do that right now because I'll use the same data when we are doing dashboards in the subsequent video. So as per now, we know the pickup channel performed the best and the least was the in-store. Well, let us proceed on to the next question. So to check on how the different levels affect the sales revenue, we'll click on the discount or any cell, insert pivot table, new worksheet, click OK. So under the row column, we will drag on the discount. Then in the values column, we are going to drag the sales amount. So as you can see, these are how the different discount affect sales? So let me filter this one, remove the percent. So now this is the data. When we are having a discount of 0.2, the count was, the sales was 1. When we had a discount of 15%, the sale is 35. So you can see the more the discount, the more the sales. So the more the customers, the more discounts that you give the customers, the more your revenues also increase. So it should be recommended, or it can be recommended, that probably the company should consider giving discount to their customers. Now you can filter this information by region. That is, you can drag the country column into the filter section. Now in this case, we will be interested in understanding how does the discount affect sales in Canada. So in Canada, if you give a customer 10%, actually there will be no difference when you again give customers 15%. Now if you want to check in USA, click on USA and see. So in the region USA, this is different, because the more discounts the customers are given, the number of revenue. So in this case, I'm interested in all the regions. So this is how the discounts affect revenues. You can present this in a chart. You can also sort this data. So I'll go to sort from largest to smallest. So you can see the more the discount, the more the revenues. I can present it in this one in the column. I'll go to insert, recommended chart. Now in this case, I will use a line chart because we are comparing values. So I can use the line chart. I can use a scattered plot, but let me use a line chart. So you can see this is the trend. As the revenues, or as the discount increase, the revenues increase. So again, you can customize your chart in a manner that will be comfortable for the stakeholders to read and interpret your analysis. On to the next question. So the next question is, what percentage of sales came from the USA and which percentage came from Canada? So in this case, you're going to filter the sales per region. So I'll go to my data, click on any cell, click on insert pivot table. The range is given. On the field section, I'll have country under my rows, and I have sales amount and my value. So you can see Canada had a total sales of 2, while USA had a total sales of, let me remove this blank, while USA had a total sales of 98. So this we can visualize this one using a simple pie chart. So I'll go to recommended, click on pie. We have varieties of pie, so you can pick the best one, the one that you feel will best represent your data. So in this case, let me pick a donut chart, and you can see USA had the highest number of sales. So in terms of the percentage of sales from USA and Canada, these are the percentage. You can format the chart to have the data label. So USA had almost 98% compared to Canada with a 2%. Well, that's it. Again, you can format your chart in respect to your needs. We are not going to delve into that as a grid. On to the next question. So the next question is, are there frequent customers and how much do they contribute to total sales? So in this case we will be looking at the frequency of customers.